Oil prices are slumping as President Donald Trump says a fresh round of peace talks will start later today. He also suggested that a deal on reopening the Strait of Hormuz may be close. His comments come after he called off a planned attack on Iran, partly due to pleas from U.S. allies in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia.
What we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon. And we'll see if it's true. I'd love to do that. Save a lot of lives, save a lot of unnecessary power. To be honest with you, it would take many, many years to ever build it back. If it could, I don't think it would be even buildable back. So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II.
For more, we're now bringing in Stuart Livingstone-Wallace, Bloomberg's executive editor for the Middle East, North Africa, and Russia. Stuart, we've been here before, multiple times over the past few months. What makes this time around different, or is it different?
It's quite similar, although I will say there is one slightly different thing this time, which is that Iran and Oman seem to be making progress on some sort of mechanism for controlling Hormuz, whether that's governing it or coming up with a new route through it or demining it, or we don't quite know. If that element of it can be fixed and you can get some sort of system in place where shipping can go through Hormuz again, I think that removes probably the biggest obstacle we have to those wider talks around the nuclear file and so on and so forth. Like, there is a template for nuclear. Hormuz is by far the most pressing problem.
And speaking of it, what does the movement there look at this time? And then what's also probably different this time around is we're seeing other risks to other waterways in the region. So when it comes to movement in the Strait of Hormuz per se, what does it look like at the time being?
Very sporadic. I mean, it's largely where it's been most of the time since the end of February, which is a few tankers are getting through. Very hard to detect them until they're quite a long way off. But it's a trickle. I mean, it really is a trickle. And in terms of the global oil market, the context here is we're something like 400 to 600 million barrels lower on global inventories than we were at the end of February. It has an awful long ways to go before we get back up to so-called normal levels.
And then OPEC also raised output slightly yesterday, 188 barrels.
Yeah.
Does that move the needle?
No. I mean, it's entirely theoretical because basically the ones with the spare capacity are struggling to get their barrels out. What it does do is it sets the stage potentially. If you can fix Hormuz, then that gives them some headroom to accelerate that production and accelerate those exports, and we can get back to a normal situation at a much faster speed. So it makes sense. It's not to downplay it. But does it fix anything this week? Absolutely not.